hear me and you are here. Okay, I see it now. Okay, I see my voices showing up. I do apologize for the technical difficulties we're having. If you are here for why you shouldn't own a pet, then you are in the right place. And I'm just waiting for Dee to connect with us. Having more issues with our internet service provider. Once again, we have another modem that's not working. So we have to wait until Monday to get that. So I'm having to use my cell phone as a hotspot. So I'm just waiting for Dee to connect. Do apologize for the delay. Let's see. She should be joining us any moment now. I may have to send another invite. I'm not sure what's going on. But at any rate, happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. I hope you've had a great day so far. Hopefully you have on your green and you haven't got pinched or anything. I know I did not have on green today, but luckily all the people I was around today didn't have on green either. So getting pinched wasn't an issue for me. Hang on, let's see. I'm gonna send Dee the invite again. And see what's going on. Yeah, but this show is why you shouldn't own a pet. And hopefully we can get a good connection, because I was thinking I might. Okay, I see Dee is texting me from her phone, so there must still be an issue. Let's see what's going on. Okay, hang on, guys. I'm just texting Dee. Okay, just texting Dee. She's saying she hasn't seen the link. I don't know what is going on. Everything seems to be on delay. So we're gonna see here. Okay, she's saying she still doesn't see any new invites. So, okay, I'm gonna send her another one. Gotta love live shows. I'm just grateful we're not on TV. Let's see. All right, just sent her another invite. If this one does not work, I may have to reschedule this for next Saturday, or either may do it later tonight. But I'm thinking, I don't know if it's anything to do with using this hotspot or not, because it was not wanting to connect. So I don't know if that's affecting Dee getting the invite or not. But if so, we'll just close this one down, and then we'll just end up having 2 episodes back to back, because the next episode that was scheduled was Wired for Weird, the Strangest Animals on Earth. So that will be on the 31st. So if we can't get this one going, we'll just shut this one down and have it on the 24th, and then we'll have another one on the 31st. So we'll just have back to back. Okay, texting Dee again. She's not saying anything. I guess she still doesn't see it. And I do apologize. I know we're already 7 minutes in, so. And for anybody who's going to be listening after the fact, I I'll put something in the notes letting you know where the actual show really picks up. So if Dee is actually able to join, I will just let you guys who are catching the replay of it anyway, I'll just let y'all know where the actual talking begins. She's typing to me now, so I'm trying to see if she has still seen it. I guess if she doesn't get it this time. Okay, still no new invite. Let's see. Try not to have so much dead air space. I know that sucks on radio. Send one last invite, and she's going in and she's gonna go out and come back in again. But if this one doesn't work out, we will just do it for next weekend. I think I see her.
Hey,
you're here. I don't know what was going on. I don't know.
It kept telling me that I could not get in every time.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so let me pay attention to what time we're actually starting to talk. So for those of you who are going to listen to the replay, I'll put in the description that we're actually starting the show at 5:09. So for those of you who are live, you're hearing it as it unfolded anyway. But for those of you who will be listening later on YouTube, we begin the actual show at 5:09. So I'll post that in the notes. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know if it had to do with the hotspot deal, because I was explaining to him, D, about my internet and stuff. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Crazy. Just you love technology.
Yeah, gotta love technology. But once again, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. All that good stuff. And today's topic is why you shouldn't own a pet. Yeah, let me put my phone on silent. We don't want to hear that the whole time. My Twitter going off. Why you shouldn't own a pet. And I think this is an important topic because so many times we can get caught up in, oh, they're so cute and they're so cuddly, they're so this and that, and it's true, they are, for the more traditional pets like cats and dogs, if they are cute and they're cuddly and all those things, and even rabbits and hamsters, but not everybody needs a pet.
Nope. Not everybody that, I always say this, just because you can have something doesn't necessarily mean you need to have it or should have it.
Exactly. Now here's this reason. To me, it may sound a little, I don't know, maybe it's just too obvious or whatever. And you would think that people who don't like pets wouldn't have one anyway. But my number one reason is if you don't like a pet, definitely get one. Because you can have those situations where, say, you are just not an animal lover, but you may have a child or a partner or something that wants a pet. But if you hate pets, because my grandmother was that way, she just wasn't an animal fan. If you're like that, you should not cave in if your children are like begging you for a dog or a cat or something, and you just know you can't stand animals, because you're not going to be able to just depend on that child to just take care of that animal exclusively.
No, because as an adult parent of a child, you need to understand, just because, you say to that child, okay, if I get you this, dog or cat or what have you, you're going to be, oh, yeah. Because they want the pet, they're in the pet zone. And so they'll pretty much tell you, they'll build your house every day, just get me my pet. But when reality sets in on that, and they're having to do certain things that they didn't normally have to do, it's going to go be like, I don't know. And so that responsibility ultimately is going to fall back on you. So you need to be aware of that and understand that just because that child or your child or whatever says, yeah, it might take a minute for that to set in. And in the meantime, Fido's still going to need to be walked and fed and everything. So, yeah, Yeah. And that brings me to something else, Jay, because you know, people of what I think people, because I know some people, particularly, I'm not going to say any names, that, I know for sure, and I think they know too, now they do, that they should not have actually, not necessarily that they shouldn't have gotten a pet, they shouldn't have gotten this particular pet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a dog. They shouldn't have. They're more of a cat person.
Mm-hmm.
Because cats are more independent, and I kind of knew it at the beginning because they had told me once before they had pets, and they had to end up giving the pets, to somebody that could take care of them because they couldn't do it. And then when they told me, oh, I'm going to get, a pet, and then I'm going to get a dog, and I'm going to get another dog, and I'm thinking, what? And that just literally shocked me because I was like, well, wait a minute, because I know this person's habit and routine and how they are, and I'm like, you don't need a pet. You don't need a dog. And I kind of wanted to go in kind of side with like, are you sure? You think you can handle two? Because I was sketchy about one. And when they were like, oh, yeah, and I'm good now. Well, actually, they sent me a picture and said, hey, I got this dog today. And I'm like, what? you joking? But no, they were serious. And I kind of knew that it was probably not going to work out for the best for them because of just how they are and just because of their routine for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with being a person who, I don't want to put it like where you're narcissistic in a certain way, but it's nothing wrong where you just kind of like doing your own thing for yourself.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that. But what you have to understand is when you get a pet, you become second. Just like when you get a child, you become
Mm-hmm.
second. The
Mm-hmm.
best interest of that child is first, and the best interest, because pets are just like children, the best interest of that pet is first. So, things that if you want to sleep late in the morning, the dogs or whatever are like cats are more independent, and they don't have to be walked, and they don't have to be well, they have to be fed, but you can get an automatic feeder, and if they learn, they can do it themselves. But a dog on a different thing, they have to go outside and be walked, and they have to, there's more, they're just like kids. So if you're want to sleep in on Saturday because you've had to get up every other day on the week, getting a dog might not be your thing. Because they're expecting to get up and they might want to play, and so yeah, you've got to
You know,
understand that it's a responsibility, and it's you sort of kind of put yourself lower on that totem pole because they come first. And it's if you go out there and make the commitment to bring that pet, because they weren't in your life, you went out there and brought that pet into your life, so you have to assume the responsibility to that pet. And that's something you should make yourself well aware of, that you've got to say, okay, my life's going to change, because it is. It's going to change, and you need to accept that and understand that the things that you might have done, you might not be able to do right away. I'm not saying you have to give up your life, but you have to get into a routine, and your pet has to get into a routine, and that has to balance each other out and work with each other.
oh yeah, definitely. Because even though Missy is a cat, Missy was still coming there and wake me and my husband up every
Yeah,
morning because she was trained on his work schedule,
yeah,
and so he was getting up at 4 o'clock. So even on Saturday and Sunday morning, she was used to someone getting up at 4 o'clock and feeding her.
yeah,
So she would come in there and get into bed with us. And after a while, if we're not getting up, she's like walking around on the bed and walking across your chest, and you just feel breath in your face, and she's like breathing on you. And then after a while she would even start like whining.
yeah,
She'd start like doing her little crying thing, and she'd just be like, get up. And then
yeah.
after a while she'd leave out for maybe about 10 minutes, and then she was going to come right back and check on us every so often until somebody got up.
Yeah, and it's not their fault because they've been trained that way. That's what they know. And you
Mm-hmm.
want your pet to be trained because you want them, for them, when a pet is trained, it makes them less agitated, it makes them less nervous. They know what it is they're supposed to do. They know what it is. This is how my day starts. This is my routine. This is what I do. So when you train them, yeah, but you have to understand, if you train them, like you said, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's fine when you're up because you got to be up anyway. But on a Saturday morning when it's cold and the bed's feeling warm and you don't have to be anywhere, but Fluffy's saying, hey, I want my kibbles and bits, or I want,
Yeah.
ready to eat. Let's do what we know. Because they don't understand that it's a weekend. They don't understand that you're off. They don't get that. They don't know that. They just know this is my routine. This is what happens at this time. Why aren't you moving?
Exactly.
I don't know what a Saturday is. I just know it's time for me to eat. So
Yeah.
you have to understand that that's going to be, for them, it doesn't stop. They don't get it. So you have to understand, if you train them to get up at a certain time and eat, they're going to want to get up at a certain time and eat, regardless of what's going on.
So you got to be okay with that. If
Got to
you're
be
not okay
okay
with
with that.
that, you don't need a pet.
Don't need a pet. You don't need a pet. If that's going to be a problem for you, you don't need a pet. You don't need a pet. I didn't know if you had one, Jay, if you want to go next or if you want to whatever, because I got a couple.
Okay. I'll say this, and I'm gonna let you do your couple. Of course, the most obvious one, and I don't know if I'm taking one of yours, is if you don't have time for a pet.
Yeah.
There's a time issue. Some people work really, really long hours. Some people love traveling. Some people are jet setters and all that stuff. So if you really know you work these long hours, some people work 12-hour days. Some people have active social lives. They're rarely home and they work long hours. That probably isn't a good idea as far as having a pet.
And
I mean, there are pet sitters and things like that, but I mean,
yeah.
there is some things that there's sometimes you have to just be there with the pet to commit.
Exactly. And that was one of mine, Jay, but I can piggyback off of that and totally agree with you on that, because when we first got, Boomer was our first initial dog, first, commitment to a dog. We had dogs before that, but they were sort of like, wanderers or whatever. That came to us, and then they, whatever. But Boomer was our first, dog. And he, you had a routine of where if you wanted to do this or do that, and that sort of, not to throw my sister under the bus, but it was supposed to be a joint thing. And it wasn't, and I knew that, okay, somebody's got to take, because she's a sleeper, and you have to understand that you lose a lack of your freedom, and you lose, if you are someone who likes to stay out late at night, and you come in whenever, you can't do that, because the dog is there. Like if you get off from work and you say, oh, let me go with the people, and, like I told you, my cousin just recently got a dog. But before she got this dog, I had to have a deep conversation with her and say, hey, these are the things that you're going to give up, because I know how she is. Not saying she's a party or anything like that, but she's a goer. She likes to, be certain places and do things and be da, da, da. I said, some of that, a lot of that's going to, especially getting a puppy, you're going to give up a lot of that when you get off from work, go hang out with your friends kind of thing, because you have to go home and, if her dog was going to be crated. So, he's going to be crazy. You've got to go home, and he's got to go out to pee-pee, and he's got to eat, and he's going to want to play, and he's going to, he's been by himself pretty much all day. So he's going to want to see you, and he wants some interaction, and, so you've got to understand that you've got to go home. You can't go out with your friends. You can't, I'm not saying that your whole life is given up or whatever, because you get into a routine and you get into a rhythm, but your freedom that you had as a single person, or not responsible for anything or anyone but yourself, changes. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand that, like I was telling my sister, like I knew because my thing was like, look, you were supposed to be in this, but when Boomer would like get upset stomachs, or when we were even potty training, just going through the whole potty training thing, because my method of potty training was that he would go out every so often, so many hours, because for me, I wanted him to get used to, when he went to the bathroom, to have dirt and grass and stuff, and to smell that and associate that with, peeing and doing his business, as opposed to carpet and in the house. And it worked, because he would pretty much bust a bladder before he put it in the house, because he needed to be in the dirt and the grass and the stuff like that. But in order for it to stick, you had to get him out there before it happened. So it was around the clock. I mean, sleep deprivation was real. It was to the point where, and this was starting to happen during the winter months. So it was like getting up, because anytime I would hear him move around in his cage or in his crate, I would get him and go. We would, not all the time if I had just taken him out, but I would get him and take him outside and give him the command, and so he could know, go to the door, pee-pee and stuff like that, so that he would know, okay, this is where I do it. Okay, I'm doing it again. I smell dirt. I smell grass. This is what I'm feeling. to associate that with that. And with her, I would go by, I think a couple of times I was like, okay, well, let's try to get her up in it. And I would go by, and look at her, and she would just be knocked out. And I'm like, yeah, I see how this is going to go. So I realized, okay, this is pretty much me. And literally, it took me 6 months to train him to go outside. And sleep deprivation, I see why they use it as sometimes because you literally start to lose your mind. Because I was so sleepy one. Taking him outside, I had him in my arms. You get the puppy, you put him under your arm to take him out or whatever.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I had the head at the back and the butt in the front. And I was
Oh,
talking to the butt. And I was so sleepy, and I was just talking to it. And I was thinking, because normally he would be like licking. I was like, why is he not licking? What's going on? I looked down. I was like, oh, that's the butt. And it was just like, I was literally by that 6th month when he really got the whole thing of go to the door. And then when he went to the door by himself and looked to say, I have to pee, it was like he took his first step. I was just like, my baby, he knows what to do. It's one of the most liberating and it's the best feelings you have when your dog or, gets it. And they're like, oh, I got to go outside to pee, not in the house. And when he got it, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. It was like the best thing in the world. But I knew that if this was going to happen, because you have to be consistent, you have to be consistent, you have to be consistent, or they're not going to get it. You can't do half time in the house, half time outside. They won't get it. And so I know going out in the rain, we went out, when it was, 30 below, well, not 30 below, 32 degrees or whatever. And, when he had an upset stomach, because sometimes they want to go out there and eat the grass. So, you got to go out there. And sometimes they just want to go outside because they hear something. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, puppies are a very big commitment. That's why, no, I don't think I would ever take on a puppy again. If I get another dog, I think I would have to just adopt a dog that's already, a more mature dog. I'll put it like that. And preferably already potty trained, because I think that part would just literally drive me insane. And it was starting to when we had, Jack for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I knew that it was probably going to be taxing, but when you get into it, you don't realize that you're like, oh my God. Because it was like you had to get up and go to work, So in like an hour, I would be getting up trying to go to work. So it was like, oh my God.
We were still in school too, I think, when you got.
Yeah, we were still doing that. So it was like having to go to school and having to go to work and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh my God. And I'm like, if you got somebody like, your mate or what have you, and they're like, oh yeah, we can do it together. Be prepared that one might not hold up their end of the bargain. Somebody's got to be responsible in that. And if you don't think you're going to be responsible and you don't know if that person's going to be responsible, you don't need a pet. You don't need a pet. You don't need a pet.
Mm-mm. Well, another reason, money.
Oh my God.
Everybody can't afford a pet. And if you're thinking, well, how expensive could it be? They can be very expensive. They can be very expensive because you got to get them vaccinated, spayed and neutered. Then just when they get sick, every now and again, you got to be able to handle the vet bills, food. If you got a cat, you got to buy cat litter every week. I mean, it's a big commitment. You got to buy them toys.
Exactly. I mean, and everything, and you don't realize that stuff until, I mean, I'm quite sure there are some people that, don't do as much as, whatever, and the pet's fine. But you want to be responsible, and you want to, if something comes up, you want to make sure you get that pet taken care of or what have you. So you got to take into consideration, if you are barely making it, scratching by or what have you, this pet's going to come in and he's going to take a chunk out of your budget. So you've got to be prepared for that. You've got to be you want to be aware that, okay, something could happen where this, with Boomer, he didn't have that many, but he got ear infections a lot. So, we would have to buy his ear infection medicines because his ears would flap down, and he loved water. So any opportunity he could get into water, he would go get into it. So sometimes we didn't know, and you would clean the ears out, but sometimes you wouldn't know an infection was, he would start scratching at the ear, and you're like, oh crap. So You go and you smell it and you're like, okay, time to go to the vet. And then they have to clean them out and they have to you have to get antibiotics and you have to get all this other stuff. And that stuff can add, because like pet medicine, and he had joint problems, so they would give us like joint stuff for him. That, like a tub of that stuff cost like $75.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh. And they were like, you give it to him twice a day. And I'm like, twice a day? What? But it's expensive. It's expensive. But for him, when he would take the joint medicine, he didn't have, because when he got older, he started to get arthritis, and it just made him feel better. And you didn't want to see him kind of limping around and being stiff in the wintertime. So of course you want to try to get it for him or whatever. But you have to factor that into your budget, because it's not cheap. And then just regular maintenance of dog and shampoo and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Was
that's right.
expensive.
I forgot about like Frontline and all that. We
Yeah,
have
you got to get flea and
remember
tick, and
Miss,
then exactly. So
and then
it's
don't think about if you have a special needs pet, because some animals
exactly.
have diabetes or something,
Yeah,
and you have to
yeah,
actually give them insulin, and yeah, that can
exactly.
add up quick.
It can add up. So just take that into consideration, because like they say, it's just like having a child. It's just like having a child. I would hope that, you take into consideration, before you have a kid, that this might da da da. But sometimes I know it happens. But, it's one of those things that you have to take that, because you, first and foremost, and I want to stress this, the best interest of the pet should be the first and foremost thing in your mind. Best
Yeah,
interest of the pet. What is in the best interest of this pet? And what will keep them in a healthy, happy home.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. This one, I thought about this from my own experience, but actually, you might not want to get a pet if you're renting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know this from experience, because me and my husband, we lived in a couple of apartments, and we've even had rental houses before we actually bought our house. And there are just some places where they don't want pets, period, or
Mm-hmm.
either they're going to charge you quite a bit of rent to have the pet there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're trying to do a number like, which we've done in the past, and I think our last place before we bought our house, I was just like, no, in case she tears something up, we're just going to tell them, and we paid the pet rent. But sometimes that pet rent can be pricey, and you just
Mm-hmm.
sort of have them there.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, especially if you have a cat and they like to sharpen their claws and they don't always sharpen them on the scratching post, I mean, they can
Mm-hmm.
kind of tear up carpet, or they can, even with the dog, they like to chew on stuff.
Oh
So
God.
if you don't own your home, you may kind of want to hold off on getting a pet until you're ready to buy. Just
Exactly.
depends. Now, if you're renting and you're willing to pay the pet rent and the deposit and all that will cover any damage they do. But if you can't afford that pet deposit and pet rent and all that, you may want to hold off till you buy a place.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing of, even if you buy your own home and you get, you go out and buy that nice sofa, that nice leather sofa that
Yeah.
you've been eyeing and you've been waiting, and you're like, I got my own place and I've been waiting, I got this sofa, and then all of a sudden you walk home and you see a big scratch across it, because
Mm-hmm.
the dog has taken his nails and scratched down it, and you're like, what? That's something that could possibly happen. It's these things. Training is an important thing. That's another thing where that goes into it. If you're not willing to put in the time and effort to train your animal, because that will also cut down on a lot of the stress that comes with owning a pet. Because untrained animals will just cause they need to be taught how to behave and how to act, and what is right and what is not right. And so training gives them a sense of, okay, this is what I do, this is what I don't do. And if you don't train them properly from the beginning, if you're getting a puppy, or if you get a dog that is like has been already been owned, or is a mature dog, and they haven't been trained, but you're bringing them into, you still, I mean, they say you can't treat your old dog. You can. It's just going to take a lot longer, and it's a lot harder to try and
Mm-hmm.
kind of do it. Just depend on the animal, I would guess. But you know, you have to take that in consideration, that this animal might damage some of your stuff. So you have to know, because Boomer did. I mean, Boomer ate, chewed, scratched. he put a hole in the wall because I think one day he was doing something and he pushed up against the door and the door just, and he was a big dog, and he put that rear end on it. That wall said, "Oh," so he put a hole in the wall. So you're like, what? And they go through that teething phase where they're chewing on things, and they don't understand that that's a part of the house. They just know this feels good, and whatever. So, yeah, you have to know that, yeah, they might damage some stuff.
Yes, and to piggyback on that, when you brought up the thing about even if you do own your house and they can do some damage, also if you are a neat freak,
Mm.
if you are a neat freak, please don't get a pet, because especially if you're getting a dog or a cat, they're going to leave fur in places. I don't care how much you vacuum, I don't care what you do, you're not going to get all of it. It's going to be on your clothes sometimes, it's going to
Yep.
be on the furniture.
Yep.
If you're really OCD or just or just really, really neat in general, you don't need a pet.
Yeah.
If you
Or
can't
maybe
deal
you
with
don't need
that,
a pet. You may think of other options of
yeah,
pets,
maybe that's where you need the iguana.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
you need an iguana or a
Exactly.
goldfish or something like that.
Exactly. Because if you are someone, when you get a cat or a dog, with fur, you might as well understand that fur will become a part of your life. I still find fur to this day. We clean this house and we still find fur from Boomer, and he's been gone for a while. You will go out and you will look and you will, I mean, I literally would travel with lint rollers because that, fur, and Boomer was a child mix, so he had fur for days. He had different layers of fur. And that's going to be a part, you're going to find it places. You're going to find it in places. And if you're OCD and you can't deal with that, you don't need to have, because it will drive you crazy. It will drive you crazy.
Yeah. I've even found there were times I would get to work or something and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, that's a strange hair. And I'll have one of her hairs in my hair. And I'm like, how did that get there?
Yeah, because I'm looking at my hair and you're looking, I'm like, that's a light brown honey hair. And I'm like, I don't have light brown honey hair, but that's the Boomer. That's the Boomer said I'm gonna send something with you. There you go. Send something with you. Take that with you. Take that with you. And another thing, if you are thinking about, you need to take in consideration health issues, like if you suffer from allergies or things of that nature.
Yes, yes.
Certain animals bring with them, like Boomer had dandruff and things of that nature. Where if you go out and you're like, oh, we want a pet, and you bring it in, and then all of a sudden you've committed to this pet, and then all of a sudden one of your kids, all the other kids are fine, but then you have one that's like sneezing and red eyes and scratching and itching, and you're like, oh crap, this might be a problem.
Yeah.
So you have to take into consideration that you need to make sure everybody's kind of on board, and before you get this pet, maybe do some sniff tests or something. I don't know, but before you commit to it and you bring it in, make sure everybody's okay and nobody has allergies and things of that nature.
Yeah, maybe you could even, like, if you have a neighbor or a friend or a family member who already has a dog or cat, kind of let everybody sort of be around that animal and just sort of see
Exactly.
if anybody has any reactions or anything. Just sort of, do a test drive, so to speak, with
Yeah,
someone else's pet and just sort of.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, we all had allergies. Even Boomer had allergies, so we all were fine. We were all on Benadryl, so it wasn't a thing. I mean, everybody popped some Benadryl. It was, kind of what we did. But I know some people that are like really allergic to dogs, fur and dandruff and things of that nature, so they can't really have them. There, I think, are some dogs out there, because I think there are some dogs out there that give you less dander or whatever. So you just have to do your research to find those dogs, and there's some dogs that don't have cats and that don't have hair and things of that nature. So you have to do your research and just kind of find what pet best will fit your lifestyle.
Exactly. Another thing I didn't think about, but I saw somewhere, you have to be careful when you just sort of fall in love with the cuteness of either a puppy or a kitten,
Yeah.
because sometimes you like the idea of them in the tiny phase. Because I can even be like this about like babies. Like I
Mm.
love babies, but it's just like sometimes the thought of you know, they don't stay babies and they become kids who have violin practice and they got baseball
Yes.
practice and you got to go pick them up from school and stuff and this and that. It's like the baby phase seems a little more desirable to me
Yes.
than the actual when they're kids and teenagers and you got to deal with them talking back to you and all that.
Yes.
So some people do the same thing with pets where it's like, oh, look at this little kitten and it can fit in the palm of my hands. But that kitten doesn't stay a kitten and that puppy doesn't stay a puppy. That
No, it
puppy
does not.
grow up to be a big Saint Bernard and it's a whole dog game than when he was a
And
puppy.
it becomes completely different. And when they're walking by and they're walking by the coffee table, and all of a sudden anything that's sitting on the coffee table is getting slapped off by their tail. And you're like, what? When did you grow up to be a horse?
Exactly.
You know, and you have to understand this animal is going to have to be transported. So if you go out and get a small, you know, the puppy's small, but the breed is a big dog, and then this dog actually grows up to be what they're going to be, but you have a small, compact, little car. You've got to think, one of the reasons why I got another car and I had to get a bigger car was because of Boomer, because he was big. And I'm like, we can't fit in this car. We can't fit in here. I need something that I can transport you in. So I had to end up going and get, an SUV because it was uncomfortable for him. It was dangerous because I think one time he hit something and I was like, you're too big. You're too big. And I needed to, it was safety reasons where I needed to be able to secure him in an area where he was secure and he was comfortable and he wasn't going to send us into traffic when I was parked. So it was kind of crazy. But one of the reasons why I got another car was because of him. Because I was like, I got to get a bigger car because you're just too big. And this little, my little Ford Tempo ain't going to hold us. So
No,
we got to get a bigger car.
no, Put wasn't going to make it with
No,
him.
he was not going to make it. He could literally pick that car up and put it on his back and carry us all.
Well, as you know, I won't call any names either, but I have a family member that may be in that situation, and I love her. I love her, but she has an adorable little puppy now. But the breed he's going to be a big boy. He's going to be a big boy, so it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds, and hopefully all will be well. But we'll school her. We're going to talk to her and give her some tips, so they can have that adjustment when he gets when the time comes.
She'll be good. She'll be fine.
She will be fine. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the Missy Show. And once again, for those of you who have been on since we first came on here today, I do apologize for the technical difficulties. And for the replay, I'll be sure to remind everyone we started up at 5:09. Be sure to join us 2 weeks from today on March 31st. We will be doing an episode called Wired for Weird, the Strangest Animals on Earth. And then things do get a bit more strange as we go into April. Our April 14th episode will be interesting. We're going to be talking about Peter. He's a dolphin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it at that for right now. When we come on March 31st, after Wired for Weird, I'll go into a bit more detail. And I do plan to put out a disclaimer on the blog for our 2 April episodes because they're a bit controversial. With the last one being the most controversial. Peter's going to set it off. But yeah, it'll get a little bit more so. But it should be interesting and very interesting subject matter. And I'm going to do my best to come through that. But Dee's going to help me. Dee's going to.
Yes, I am, because I know that one is it touches you in a way. No pun intended. It touches you in a way that it just strikes a chord in Jay. It strikes a chord in her, and so we're gonna get you through it. We're gonna plow through it. We're gonna give that information and
yes, and it is a true story, and I think I would have been fine had I not seen the Saturday Night Live skit that they did based on the story. I think I still would have had issues anyway, but that didn't help. But hopefully that has piqued your interest, but that won't be until April 14th. But I will go back over that again on our next episode. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your St. Patrick's Day and the rest of your weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.